Women for Women podcast.
پادکست زنان برای زنان.
ښځو لپاره د ښځو پودکاسټ.
Welcome to another episode of Women for Women podcast, a platform dedicated to sharing the voices, experiences, and journeys of Afghan women whose stories inspire reflection, resilience, and hope. Today we are honored to be joined by Sajia Behgam Amin. Her journey spans personal transformation, migration, resilience, and a continued commitment to education, research, and advocacy. Like many Afghans, her life was profoundly shaped by the event of August 2021. Yet her story is also one of identity and finding new beginnings while remaining connected to home. In this conversation, we will explore her personal journey, the challenges and opportunities of rebuilding life in a new country, and her reflections on Afghanistan, belonging, and hope for the future. Sajia John, welcome to Women for Women podcast, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Nazifa Jalali.
Thank you so much. Sajia John, thank you for joining us. Could you introduce yourself and tell us a little about your journey before 2021?
Thank you, Nazifa Jan. As you say, my name is Sajia Behgam, and currently I'm a researcher and PhD candidate at Goethe University and University of Applied Science. But my journey before 2021, my real life journey doesn't start from before 2021, actually. It started from 1995 when I was a schoolgirl, when the first time Taliban took over Afghanistan, especially Iraq and then Kabul. And my journey started from there because I was the girls banned from school and I had to travel many provinces to finish my school. I traveled to Mazar Sharif, I traveled to Kapisa, Panjshir, the place which the school was existing and the opposition groups or the opposition government was existed with the school. And that was started from there. And the first time I do remember while there was attack by the group, by the de facto authority from that time, we had to leave our province and we were climbing mountain and I saw a woman give birth in the street. While I was 14 or 15 years old girl and I was thinking, why women are like this? Why Afghanistan is like this? I was politically well aware at that time. I was listening to the BBC and all radio channels at that time, and I was thinking why in other countries women are living differently and we are suffering from there. And my journey started from that question, looking to a woman give birth in the street and no one is there, no doctor, no take care for her, no medicine, and she took the children after like an hour and she was walking to escape from Taliban. And her security, the family, and the scare that as a young girl or as a young woman give birth was a question in my mind. And I was thinking, what can I do after that? When I came back to Kabul after 2 or 3 years of struggling to finish my school, then I decided I should do something to change the life of women in Afghanistan. I didn't know how to do it, with whom to do it, but I could start connection with the different organization. My mom was working with UN Habitat at that time, and I was talking with many foreigners. I couldn't speak English, but I could communicate with other colleagues. Finally, I started my own basic school or underground school at that time in 1997, 8, and 99. I started from 5 students, and finally I could graduate about 160 students when the collapse happened and when the Taliban was kicked out of Afghanistan. And then finally the new government started. We had lots of my students who started a school and university together with myself. Mm-hmm. That was the start. We had a youth groups. We established a youth groups during the first time, and we were encouraging economically. We had a small businesses for women. That was my journey. And then it took me like 20 years working and different platforms, national, international, government of Afghanistan. I started studying political science just after, like in the first period of, we were the first Concours exam students in 2002 to 2005. I finished my bachelor on public policy, on political science, sorry. And later on, I did my master in 2011 to 13 in Germany. But I was working in Afghanistan on gender mainstreaming. I was involved with all policies development for women and the quota for women and supporting government to in gender policies and establishing gender units. That's my journey. Like my specialization is policy development, but in the same time, part of my life was how to support women, how to create platform spaces for women and gender mainstreaming in policies. But one of interesting work which I have done was, I'm always proud of it, was the research in 2003 to 2004, which was published about child marriage in Afghanistan. And that was first time in Afghanistan that considered as a challenge after I done that research. And that was taken by UNICEF, UN Women, and that was a kind of a policy agenda in the government of Afghanistan to challenge or to eradicate child marriage. And that was my journey was like that started, and I was involved with many things to at least support women of Afghanistan. And that is part of my life or part of my body, which I cannot live without it.
Amazing, Sajia John. More power to you. And that's why we are saying women's are very powerful, especially the Afghan women. And I really impressed by your journey. And what strikes me most is that your journey began not with politics, but with a question. And the question was like a young girl witnessing suffering and asking why things had to be this way. Sometimes those simple questions become the foundation for a lifetime of advocacy and leadership. Amazing, and more power to you. Sajia John, how would you describe yourself beyond your professional titles and achievements?
Well, I'm a simple person, really. Whenever I'm talking, I never was very connected to the fame, power, or my academic journey. If I'm looking to myself, I'm more comfortable being a normal woman, sitting with others, discussion, learning from the new things from women. I never was related myself to the power or with the titles I was using. Like I was lecturer at Kabul University. I was senior advisor with Dr. Abdullah, the CEO of Afghanistan, and I was working as a senior advisor with the ministers during like 5 or 7 years working with GIZ. I'm more happy when I'm sitting with a girl. She's asking me question about her education, about her future. Just a moment, I took a taxi. I start speaking in German and English. The guy was okay. He was asking me, "You're looking like Pakistani." And I say, "No, I'm from Afghanistan." And he said, "I'm also from Afghanistan, but I only can speak Pashto." And I say, "Okay, what are you doing?" He was explaining about his journey, learning German, and he wants to create a business, and he also wanted to continue education. And I was giving guidance to him, and I was enjoying that I can give some guidance to a young man, which he can, after a few years, he might use it, and the life will be changed. And I can describe myself a simple person who is happy with the very small things. I don't get happy when I get a kind of award from like a politician or a praise from a politician and so, but I'm more happy when my student send me a thank you note that he got acceptance in PhD program. Or after like 26 years or 30 years, one of my students send me thank you, Ma'am, you were the one, you have taught me alphabets or alif ba. that now I finish my master, but I'm happy. That is me enjoying that moment, very small things, but enjoying my life with that.
Thank you, Sajid John, for sharing that story. What stands out to me is that impact is not always measured by title or positions. Sometimes the most meaningful contribution happens in simple human interactions when a conversation, a piece of advice, or a moment of encouragement helps someone see new possibilities for their future. And your reflections reminds us that leadership is also about mentoring, listening, and investing in the potential of others. In these moments, I want to ask you another important question, and it is if you can tell us that what aspect of your identity have shaped who you are today. Who is Sajia Begum today?
Being a woman
Mm.
or a young girl many years back, and now a woman, shaped my identity. I'm proud to be a woman. I know in Afghanistan, being a woman is a title which you suffer a lot. You face a lots of challenges. If you have a family support, the society will be against you, or the community will be against you. You struggle all your life that you start from the family. You have to prove yourself, and then in the same time, you have to prove yourself at work. You have to prove yourself at the university while you're studying in the society. But in the same time, you as a woman have a strong voice. If you're educated, if you're well aware of your right, if you have the knowledge to argue about your, not about your right, but at least being aware and having argument on about your life, about your decisions, make your identity more powerful. And for me, being a woman is my identity, and fighting for women is my identity, and that shapes my life. And I'm always enjoyed that moments when I see myself in this position.
Thank you, Sajid John. It's amazing answers that I'm really hearing from you and so happy. Your reflection highlights something important, and it's education does not only give women knowledge, it gives them confidence, a voice, and the ability to shape their own identity in future. Satya John, where were you when you learned about the event of August 2021, and what was going through your mind at that moment?
Well, it was a dark moment. I was in Afghanistan, in Kabul. Um, Between 2019 and 2021, I was in Germany doing my PhD. And for me, doing PhD was one of my dreams to at least can contribute for the future of Afghanistan. I went back for my collecting the data and the research. At that time, my PhD topic was different from what I'm doing now. And when the moment I went to Kabul, and it was everything, I love Kabul and I miss Kabul all the time, being as a refugee. But at that time, I was in Kabul. I was very happy meeting people, but I saw the change. I saw there's some kind of concern in with my colleagues in the government, people in the university, my former colleague at the university. But from beginning of August, I felt there's something going on, and I wanted to travel back to Germany, but I decided to stay a little bit. But from the 5th or 6th August, then I realized that the situation is getting worse. And I do remember the night of 15, it was 14 August. We were like thinking what will happen, but we didn't believe that Kabul will collapse so quickly. I was traveling from Kapisa to Kabul, but you could feel from the face of people, everybody was worried. And I was just thinking the same. It was in 1996 when they took Kabul. And I was coming from the school, and I was comparing that moment with this moment in 2021. And in the morning, 15 August, I went to the bank and I had some money in AIB Bank, which was located in the nearby airport. And then I saw that thousands and thousands of people were standing in the queue, waiting to get inside and get money. I was with my cousin. We went inside the bank. It was like people were pushing us, and we suddenly got into bank. And I got my money. I came and standing for my cousin. Then the security guard came to me and say, "Oh, sister, you should go home. The situation has got worse, and the Taliban is entering Kabul." And it was around 11 o'clock in the morning. And I was like looking, oh, really? What happened? He said, yes, you should go home quickly. And we came back and we got a taxi, and our house is in Khairkhana, and we arrived at home. But then my siblings, my sister, my sister-in-law, and everybody was around at work or at course or somewhere. And we were shocked and we were worried. We didn't know what will happen. And we just start quickly burning the photos, the documents, whatever we had. Like, that the situation, you don't know what will happen. Suddenly, we got this news that, okay, the president has escaped, and the all cabinets are gone, and the airport was you could see that the police officer, the soldiers were changing clothes, changing their style, because as a human being, they wanted to be secure. Politically, when I was contacting the friends, colleagues, no one, you could find no one, like no one was reachable. I only could get to one colleague, kind of a journalist. He just told me, "Oh, Sajia Jan, why are you in Kabul? The situation is worse." And that was the moment, it was a confusion. You didn't know what will happen. You will be alive, you will not be alive. Who will enter in Kabul? And then at the end, in the evening, we got to know the news that Taliban announced that we are not yet inside Kabul. And we got the news from Dr. Abdullah, from Mr. Karzai. Well, that was kind of again another shocking. And you could see the news, or you could see in the internet what is going on. And it was really scary for me, at least. But in the same time, whenever there is a kind of a really critical situation, and suddenly I'm getting more powerful than being sitting somewhere and doing nothing. And I just told my family that, okay, you have to be ready. We have to collect everything in case if we could get out of here, good. If not, we should be ready for anything, for war, for conflict, for being. My mother was director of Women's Affairs for 10 years in Afghanistan. And I was really scared of him. My sister-in-law was working with one of the very famous organization in Kabul. All of my family was involved with the government, either ways. And then that was one of the point which I was worried. But in the next day, things was different, slowly. But I knew that that's the start for losing everything, especially what we built for women in Afghanistan.
It was the darkest day for all of us, especially for the women of Afghanistan. Even me, I born in 1997. I was not a witness of the first period of the Taliban, but I hear the stories from that time from my mom. And when in August, when the Taliban came to Afghanistan and they took the power and everything was changed, like I was shocked and I knew that everything will change. So I can understand these feelings, I can understand this experience, and thank you for sharing this story, because your words captures the human side of a historic moment. Beyond political changes, there were millions of personal journeys, interrupted dreams put on hold, and people trying to understand a reality that changed almost overnight. Sajid John, how did those events affect your personal life and your plans for the future?
Definitely, 100%. I was in Germany doing my PhD, dreaming going back to Kabul. start being professor, like I was lecturer and I was dreaming to become a professor, and built a university, like focusing on new things, new journeys for young generation in Afghanistan. And the moment they entered Kabul, I was thinking, what will happen? And I just remembered my 5 years under the first period of Taliban, the almost 21 years of, or 22 years of working starting as a young girl in Afghanistan, becoming a woman with the two girls after marriage, and then thinking what will happen. And I was dreaming that my girls will go back from Germany and start supporting other young girl. But that dream was just like shattered, and I was thinking, okay, what will happen after that? Believe me, in 2021, in October, when I entered Germany, I was not feeling like I was not able to breathe well. I felt that's like there was a wall I could like lay down on that, but now that is gone and I have nothing. We are nothing. We are zero. You're educated. You have a degree. You have a master. You're a student of PhD, and then you come back, and then they say, okay, this topic is not anymore important, and you cannot do PhD on that. Yes, that's true. I have to. For 2.5 years, I worked on a topic. I have to just change it and start from zero. Start your life, start your career, and feel that you're nothing. Believe me, I was searching job in like I was just ready to do job like in a restaurant or do job in a shopping mall that has at least survived. I was a refugee, but I don't like to beg a government to pay my rent or pay my cost or whatever, like daily life. And for me was the moment that, okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to just sit and see and be a normal person, or you want to be a change maker? Not for yourself, but for all those who have lost their life. I start working voluntarily with the university, supporting a group of women that for their wider building or further studies. I was working voluntarily for many other organizations to support refugee. Day and night, I was translating for them. I was supporting. I was filling the form for them. That gave me another strength, like feeling from zero, that becoming a person that you have to do something to change life for others. And that moment was for me. I changed the challenge or the negative aspect to a kind of a positive things, and not only in my life, but for other Afghan young refugee who are living in Germany. And I started my PhD. I was sharing my experiences at the universities. I was fighting for the rights of girls, and I was giving speeches in many places. But one thing was always in my mind, that I have to be strong, that others see me as a strong person that changed their life too. And that was the impact. Like it was a kind of a negative impact, which I changed it to opportunity for myself. And I start my PhD, write another proposal, submit it, accepted, becoming a PhD candidate, a researcher, and teaching a German university with no knowledge about how to teach in European countries, and supporting other refugees, which they felt the same, losing everything. I've written an article which is titled about losing occupation, language, and life, and that is one of the experience of all those who have done the same like me.
It's completely understandable, Sajia Jan. I'm really enjoying to listen to your story because it's such a wonderful and powerful story. And what is powerful in your story is that your dream was never only about personal success, it was about creating opportunities for others. when that dream was interpreted, it was not just one person's dream that was affected, but the hopes of many young Afghans connected to that vision. If you can tell us that, what was the most difficult part of that period for you? What was the most challenging moments?
There was many things, if I tell you. Losing my country, losing my dignity, being a refugee. That in the age that you should see your success in your life, then you have to start from zero. You have to prove yourself not being as a woman, if you consider intersectionality, a woman, a refugee, not knowing the language, and you have to struggle and you have to prove yourself. I give you two stories of myself. One was I started working with an NGO in Germany. And you know what happened? That was my first job in 2003, which I restarted in 2022. No, 2023, actually. I starting with creating lists, writing invitation, bringing people together, like coordinating things like that. I don't mean that it's a low profile job. It was not a low profile job. I was coordinator in one of the biggest city in Germany. But the work I started, all the things. And the first day my boss was telling me, oh, Sajia Jan, we will give you the part-time contract first to prove yourself that you can do the job or not. And I was not able to communicate properly in German that, okay, I tell her that I can do it and much better. After 1 week of work, suddenly she saw like there was a platform. You had to upload your plan, your work, and everything. They had something which they could not do it for like 2 or 3 months. I have done it in 3 days. I developed a strategic plan for the city. I developed a very good plan for trainings and for everything. And after 1 week, she came back and she saw all the things and she said, "Oh, Sajia, you have done it?" And I say, yes. And I was working as a senior policy advisor. And then she was looking to me and looking to all the plan and everything. And then she suddenly changed my contract and she suddenly changed her behavior and she was considered me as a professional woman. And that she said also in her speech after 1.5 years when I just resigned from that organization. The second thing which I experienced was I felt so bad. I was sitting somewhere having conversation with a group of people, and then they say, "Oh, poor Afghans, and you always fighting and fighting, and now how do you feel? What you feel, and when you don't have a country?" It was the painful statement I heard sitting somewhere, considering myself as a human being among them. But they look at me as a woman, a poor woman from Afghanistan. That was painful for me. And in the same time, the whole journey of my fellow colleagues from Afghanistan, the ministers, the deputy ministers, politicians, women, they came and I was working with them in different refugee centers. And believe me, every day when I was visiting them, I was crying. What happened to us? Now we don't have our country, we don't have our homeland, and we are nothing and we are struggling. That was the painful moment, seeing yourself like without, if you have no identity and you see the struggle is there and you want to do things, you want to prove yourself, or you are something, but people are not seeing you as a something.
Exactly, Sajijan. I completely understand your feelings. Your story highlights something important, and it's for many refugees, starting over does not mean starting from nothing. People carry their skills, experiences, and dreams with them. even when they are forced to rebuild their lives in a new place. You mentioned your experience about you were living and starting your job in Germany. Today, what does home mean to you?
What does mean to me is being in Kabul in Afghanistan. But no, for me, one of the things I want to appreciate it that Germany become as a second home to us, giving the opportunities like being a refugee seems very challenging, which we face. Everybody's facing that challenge, but in the same time, it opens a lot of opportunities if you open your eyes and if you grab that opportunities. For me, my first home is Afghanistan, Kabul. I do miss that every second, and I'm connected to everybody inside Afghanistan, and I'm working with them. I'm supporting with the girls, with supporting education, with the organization supporting small grants or entrepreneurs, and talking with the women, getting that energy from them. But in the same time, my second home is Germany. I work day and night. Sometimes when I had some speeches, when they ask question, I say, we have two life. One is belonging to Afghanistan and with my people in there, but one, my identity as a refugee or as a migrant in Germany, working, studying, and fighting and advocating for the rights of women. And that shaped the identity here in Germany. I have one job working with the university and doing my PhD, but beside that, I'm in different platforms doing advocacy, specifically on girls' education, working with the German politician or public on changing the mentality on towards Afghans and about the migrant refugees integration, not deporting them, and supporting girls' education, creating spaces, bridging between universities, girls inside Afghanistan, providing teaching, coaching about the scholarship. If someone is struggling about their education, giving them advices. Like I have every Sunday or every Saturday, I allocate a moment either away from inside or outside Afghanistan if someone needs some kind of advices. I believe whatever I have come across in my life and I have learned, and step by step I can communicate or I can transfer that to others, that if I made a mistake, they should not make the same mistake. If I succeeded, they have learned from that success. They can that can be a positive learning for them, and in the same time reduce challenges for them. And that is what give my identity. And I'm supporting different platforms, supporting with the creating or holding conferences, meetings, and writing position papers. And sometimes I give up. I say, oh, that's enough. Nothing will be changed. But as a person who have started lobbying and advocacy from age of 18 and 19, for me, a woman or a person should not give up on advocacy and lobbying unless they achieve their rights. And that's my goal and identity at the moment.
Sajia John, have your experiences changed the way you think about identity and belongings?
Yes, I think over the course of life, like I remember when I was in 2002, I visited Switzerland as a group of people, and I was a more conservative, fundamentalist, and looking to my identity as a Muslim woman, and being very strict with many things. But through like living the life of like 24, 25 years of working and coming with the different, like we have different kind of identity. You become a daughter, a woman, a wife, or lots of things you have with yourself. But through the course of life, when I came now and I'm sitting here talking with you, I feel more open to accept changes towards the feeling or towards the considering an identity for myself. And that's a kind of different changes in different time, and not being so thinking openly about changes, about acceptance, about bringing development in yourself. I was feeling shy. I was not able to talk, and then now I feel to be more strict. You have to be open. You have to fight for yourself. And one of the things always bothered me, that what people think about me, how they think about me. Oh, I should not do something that the people will judge me. I don't have that feeling anymore. This is me, Sajia. Whoever likes me, they come. I love them. But whoever judge me, they judge. That is their own mentality, what they think. But what should I do? I should not harm anyone. I should have my principles in life and do my thing. And that is like a change about my identity, and change over different things I was feeling as my identity.
Thank you, Sajia. We are proud of you, and thank you so much for sharing your story, experiences, and reflections with us. Your journey reminds us that even in times of uncertainty, displacement, and profound change, people continue to find strength, purpose, and hope. Stories like yours help us better understand not only the challenges faced by Afghans in recent years, but also the resilience and determination that continue to shape their futures. To our listeners, thank you for being with us. If you have a story, experience, or perspective that you would like to share, we invite you to connect with us through the Women for Women podcast website. Until next time, let us continue to listen, learn, and amplify the voices of women whose stories deserve to be heard. Thank you for listening.